RTB 101, where we discuss practical questions to equip you to share your faith more effectively. And here to help me talk about the importance of having a home library, I'm so excited to talk about this, is philosopher and theologian Kenneth Samples. Welcome, Ken.
Hello, Krista.
So great to have you here. And, I think if I remember right, I've heard you say before that your mother was the one who really instilled in you a love for reading and learning. I'm wondering how she did that.
Yeah, my mother was the reader in the family. I remember I have a distinct memory, Krista, of coming home in third grade, and my mother was at the ironing board, ironing our clothes, and she had a book that she was reading through, and she read all through the book. And I just have this memory that my mother read. She was interested in history. Her favorite historical figure was Abraham Lincoln. And I spent more time with my mother. She shaped me in many, many ways.
That's so beautiful. I love it when we have those childhood memories that maybe our parents didn't even realize left such an impression on us, and yet they helped shape us in powerful ways. And I know that you spend a lot of time reading every day. You are just a voracious reader. Sometimes you like to revisit some of your favorite books.
Right?
Um, but recently you did a blog post on the importance of having a home library. Tell us a little bit about that research.
Yeah, this was a very fascinating study. It was done over 20 years, which is a very long time to do a study. It covered 70 different countries and with differing governments, some in democracies, some under apartheid, some under communist governments. And they raised the question of what kind of influence does a home library have on the ultimate success or the extended education of children. And it was fascinating because essentially it argued that having a home library of, let's say, 500 books, that weighed as much as having parents who had graduate school educations. And they were shocked by this. And in fact, most of the benefits that were really derived were people who had fairly uneducated parents. And so having a home library can set a child's mind on fire.
Yeah, it's so interesting to me because when you think about educational advancement, I know that your mother, I believe her name was Violet, if I remember
Yes,
right.
that's right.
She didn't have, a graduate school education.
Right.
I believe, your parents were from back east, and, they didn't have a lot of education. And yet, through her example, she was able to inspire you to advance in your education. And this home library situation may actually help overcome some socioeconomic factors in low income areas to help compensate for that. Is that right?
That's exactly right. In fact, they say that, as I mentioned, the children who had parents with the least level of education benefited the most.
Mm,
It was almost extending their educational level by 3 full years.
that's so fascinating. And now
Yeah.
I'm wondering then what degree, and if the study looked at, to what degree parenting styles sometimes factor into this. When you have a parent like your mom, who you observed watching her read and learn and be a lifelong learner, did that play into how successful the children were?
Yeah, a point that I raise in my article is that we want to be careful about correlation and causation. I
Mm.
mean, after all, parents who are pretty well educated, they see the value of education, and so the books may not have been the cause. It may have been the genuine curiosity of the parents. But I don't think that plays out because, again, the people that really it helped the most were parents who didn't have that much education. And so Having books in the home and, that is a great opportunity for people to read. C.S. Lewis said he was born in a library, that he had all these books and it deeply shaped his imagination. The American home has about 112 books. I mean, what if we made reading and books and libraries more available? What if it was right there, right outside your bedroom? That can really set a child's mind on fire, which is what I deeply believe in.
I have to admit that it gives me a lot of pleasure when my children who are in high school and college come to me for books. They're working on something and they will come to me because they know that I have invested, in a couple thousand books and that I can help them and they see me as a resource. I think the same could be true. Like if people can't afford a lot of books, really emphasizing a library, and even churches. Like I think one of the most underrated resources in many churches are libraries, and that we can encourage children to read through our example, through what we prioritize, and making those books available, even if we can't necessarily afford to invest in all those books in our home.
That's exactly right. There are a lot of things we can do. Churches have opportunities to do this. There are lots of wonderful libraries where you can check books out. So you can make a real difference in the life of a young person. And, Christianity is a faith that comes from the people of the book. And so books and faith go well together.
It's so true. And I'm just was so glad when I saw this post. It's a very fun topic, very provocative and practical topic for many of us as Christian parents, as we find ourselves living in an increasingly hostile culture that's hostile toward our faith. Bringing a lot of the classic books is just a wonderful way of helping to pass on the faith to our children. And I want to encourage everyone, go look for Ken's blog. It's called Reflections, and you can search for it at reasons.org.